Hi everyone, welcome to the online lecture History of Japan. I'm at Omori Mounds in Tokyo. This is the birthplace of Japanese archaeology. At Omori Station near here, there is a monument on the platform that says so. Why? It all started with an American zoologist, Dr. Edward Sylvester Morse. On June 18, 1877, Dr. Morse arrived in Yokohama. He came to Japan for researching about a species of Japanese brachipod, Lingula. 2 days after his arrival, he discovered a layer of shells from the window of a train heading from Yokohama to Tokyo. From September to December of the same year, the first scientific excavation in Japan was conducted. This was the shell mounds. In other words, it was a rubbish dump area. Under this white roof, you can see the sample layers of shells. But in fact, in addition to shellfish, a large number of dwelling sites, potteries, stone tools, ornaments, and fish and animal bones were excavated. These are the pictures of excavated earring and fish hook. Actually, this was not just a dumping area, but a place to offer prayers of thanksgiving for the food and tools used. Nowadays, this place is called Omori Shell Mounds Park. Great discovery of Dr. Morse became trigger of archaeology among Japanese. According to the survey, people probably began to live here about 4,400 years ago. It was part of the Jomon Period. It's after the Paleolithic or the Iwajiku period described in the past video. In the next few videos, including this one, I'll talk about the Jomon Period. What do you think is the reason for the boundary between the Paleolithic and Jomon periods? The answer is the presence or absence of earthenware pottery. There was no pottery in the Paleolithic. The world's oldest pieces of pottery, believed to have been made about 16,500 years ago from today, was discovered at Oda Yamamoto ruins in Aomori Prefecture in 1998. Simply speaking, the Jomon period began when people made potteries and ended when paddy field rice farming started in Japan about 3,000 years ago. The period was a time when hunting, gathering, and settlement were the main lifestyle. It lasted for about 13,000 years and more. Very long time. The Jomon period accounts for most of Japan's history. By the way, what is Jomon? Jomon was named after Jomon pottery found in the layer of the Jomon period. What is Jomon pottery? It's called marked pottery. These are examples of the patterns. When twisted plant fiber patterns are pressed into the moist clay before firing, the pottery becomes very characteristic. The fibers were rolled with a palm or a stick to create patterns on the surface of the potteries. Cord mark. The word Dr. Morse used to describe this pottery was translated in Japanese, Jomon. Omori Shell Mounds Park. This small park is very important because it opened the door to the archaeology of Japan and provided an opportunity to unravel the life of the prehistoric Japanese people. Currently, the total number of Jomon period shell mounds found in Japan is about 2,700 so far. This is the distribution map. Yellow and red indicate the location of shell mounds. Red in particular is where a large number of shell mounds were found concentrated. About 950 of them are concentrated along the coast of Tokyo Bay. Omori Shell Mounds is here. Today, modern buildings stand close to these ancient ruins here in Omori. The fact that a large gap of time exists in the same place is an interesting aspect of the metropolis Tokyo. Here is the question. Why did the Jomon period last for about 13,000 years? The answer is simple. It was very peaceful times. Well, what was the Jomon period like? I want to talk about 6 key points of this period. 1. Environment. 2. Food. 3. Tools. 4. Fashion and living space. 5. Trade and logistics. 6. Belief. The Jomon period was a very long period. That's why these points may vary from period to period and region to region. Let me talk briefly about it. First, environment. This is a rough topographic map about 30,000 years ago. It was the Ice Age. Because of the low sea level at this time, Japan was close to Eurasian continent and some places were partially connected to it. This is an enlarged view. About 12,000 years ago, the Ice Age ended and temperatures warmed up. On average, temperature in the period was 2 to 3 Celsius higher than today, and sea level rose up to about 120 meters, and the Japanese archipelago became as of today. Notably, about 6,000 years ago, the sea level of the Earth reached its apex, about 4 meters higher than it is today. At this time, much of the flat land of current Japan was covered by seawater. This is an image of the present Kanto area at the time. Today's major cities such as Tokyo, Kawasaki, Yokohama, and Chiba were under seawater. Seawater entered as far as Tochigi Prefecture, about 70 kilometers from Tokyo. Around here, there are shell mounds too. Omori shell mounds is here. Because of its proximity to the sea, it's easy to imagine that the people there ate a lot of fish and shellfish. There are more than 95,000 ruins of the Jomon period throughout Japan. Out of those, so many ruins of the period are found in northern and eastern parts of Japan, especially in Hokkaido, Tohoku, and Kanto regions. Hokkaido and the Tohoku regions are very cold places in wintertime today. How come so many ruins in these regions? Because these places were very warm during the Jomon period. It was very comfortable to live. And there was another reason. What do you think it is? The answer is volcano. There was a major natural disaster that affected the population distribution. In the past video, I mentioned that when the Aira caldera in Kyushu region erupted about 30,000 years ago, volcanic ash fell as far as today's Tokyo. Volcanic eruption occurred in the same area again. About 7,300 years ago, the Kikai caldera erupted in a major way. According to Kobe University Research Group, this eruption was found to be the largest in the world in the past 10,000 years. On the right is an enlarged view. Today, only Iojima and Takeshima, which were part of the caldera, are visible above sea level. The crater is like oval shape. It's about 20 kilometers east to west and 17 kilometers north to south. At the time of the eruption, the volcanic plume rose to about 40,000 meters and pyroclastic flows of about 300 kilometers per hour spread rapidly, causing a major disaster in western Japan. Of course, there was a tsunami. According to simulations, it is estimated that there was a giant tsunami in present southern Kagoshima Prefecture. It was about 30 meters high, 4.3 meters in Oita, 7.3 meters in Tokushima, and 4 meters in Wakayama. Volcanic ash fell as far as the southern part of today's Tohoku region. The numbers indicate the approximate boundaries of the volcanic ash deposits. It is estimated that about 10 centimeters of volcanic ash was deposited in Tokyo. It's said that many people who lived in southern Kyushu and the Shikoku areas died and people who survived from the disaster moved to eastern part of Japan. Based on genome analysis, some researchers have suggested that some Jomon people may have migrated to today's Southern Republic of Korea after the eruption. It is thought that the population was concentrated in northern and eastern side of Japan during this period, partly due to the great eruption of the Kikai caldera. Do you think people lived in eastern part felt safely? Of course, not always. Current beautiful sites like Lake Towada, Mount Iwate, Mount Fuji erupted frequently during the Jomon period. The archaeological sites along the coast of Tohoku regions revealed that earthquakes occurred frequently. There were also large tsunamis. The Jomon people built their settlements on higher ground to avoid big waves. In the late stage of the Jomon period, population in these regions began to decline as cold weather began to set in. It's also believed that people living in northern and eastern Japan moved to west in search of warmer climate. In general, the Jomon period was warm and comfortable most of the time. This is a tree zone distribution map about 3,000 years ago. As a result, deciduous broadleaf and evergreen trees increased on the Japanese archipelago that had been dominated by conifers. It's said that Japan's rich nature and four seasons were nurtured during this period. In rich environment, food was abundant. Let's talk about it. Take a look at this figure. It shows that the Jomon people ate seasonal foods according to the changing seasons. Blue indicates fishing in the sea and the rivers. Brown is gathering, and green is hunting. Foods from the sea and the mountains was easily accessible without having travel. In spring, they collected wild vegetables and seaweed. These may not familiar to you. I show you example. These wild vegetables are called warabi and zenmai. They have harsh or bitter taste, so we boil them and season them with soy sauce or other seasonings today. Seaweed includes kombu and wakame. We also eat these too. Kombu is like kelp. Dried one is very important ingredient to make broth for soup of miso, soba, and udon. Wakame is put in miso soup, soba, udon, or used for salad. Kombu and wakame are also used in many other dishes. From spring to summer, they caught fish from sea and rivers. After fishing, the fish were normally dried as preserved food. They collected shellfish too. Around summer, they caught bonito. Here in Japan, we call it katsuo and eat it as sashimi and grill. Like kombu, this is also a very important ingredient for making broth today. To make broth, we use katsuobushi. It's made from bonito through the processes of boiling, smoking, drying, and fermentation. It becomes so hard as wood. That's why to make broth from katsuobushi, it's necessary to shave it into flakes. Also, we commonly sprinkle flakes on anything like salad or tofu. It's an all-purpose seasoning. Talking about seafood, it's fun to visit Tsukiji Outer Market in Tokyo. There are so many street stores. You can see and eat various kinds of seafood. Some stores sell kombu, wakame, and katsuobushi. In autumn, they caught salmon and trout, and they picked chestnuts, walnuts, and others in the woods. Excavations at the Jomon sites indicate that the Jomon people planted and cultivated chestnut trees. Also, carbonized cookies made from chestnuts, walnuts, and acorns were found in some ruins. Oops, this is just an image. I don't think there was chocolate in those days. They cultivated beans and potatoes too. It's believed that they drank fruit wine made from fermented mulberries and raspberries. This is supported by the fact that these seeds were excavated in clusters and in large quantities, together with pupae of Drosophila that congregated in fermented matter. From autumn to winter, it was hunting season. At this time, large animals such as elephants like Naumanzo and mammoth, introduced in past video, disappeared, and medium-sized animals like deer, wild boars, and bears increased. Most of the time, when they hunted, they took their dogs with them. Previous studies have shown that the Jomon people already knew how to smoke meat for preservation. They also used salt for seasoning or preservation. They hunted all sorts of other animals. In some places, they hunted sea lions, seals, dolphins, whales, and sharks. Birds, such as pigeons and ducks. Blowfish bones also have been found in shell mounds all over Japan, indicating that people back in time loved it. Most species are poisonous. In general, they have poison in internal organs and ovaries. That's why, to be a blowfish chef, they must have a special license today. In fact, it's said to have already been eaten since the Paleolithic period, before the Jomon period. Very brave. When you see this figure, we can see that the table of the Jomon people was almost the same as Japanese today. Yellow circle in the center indicates making tools and building houses. They spent their free time on those activities. Let's briefly review the time flow of the Jomon period. Before the Jomon period, it was the Paleolithic period and still in the Ice Age. The world's oldest pieces of pottery were discovered at Oda Yamamoto ruins about 16,500 years ago. This is the beginning of the Jomon period. About 12,000 years ago, ice began to melt and sea level rose. The Japanese archipelago became closer to its present topography. About 7,300 years ago, Kikai caldera erupted in major way. Western Japan suffered a major disaster, and it's said that many people in western part of Japan moved to eastern and northern regions. About 6,000 years ago, the sea level reached its highest point. Most of the present flat areas were covered by seawater. Hokkaido, Tohoku, and Kanto regions were warm and comfortable places to live. About 3,000 years ago, it was a time when paddy rice cultivation gradually started in Japan, and the Jomon period was coming to the end, and cold weather set in. The tree zone distribution became close to today. It nurtured rich nature and 4 seasons. Jomon people lived with the cycle of 4 seasons and ate seasonal foods from the sea and mountains. Let's move on to the next. Japan travel tips. Tsukiji Outer Market. It's about 40,000 square meters. There are about 460 stores, including fresh fish, dried seafood, meat, fruits, vegetables, cooking utensils and equipment. And there are many stand-up meal stalls selling sushi, grilled seafood, sweets like ichigo daifuku. Basically closed on Wednesdays and Sundays. Check the calendar from the website below. Blue rectangle next to this area was a large wholesale market. Due to aging facilities, it was relocated to new wholesale market, Toyosu, in 2018. The famous tuna auction takes place at the fish wholesale market. It starts at 5:30 a.m. and ends at 6:30 a.m. Check the calendar from the website below. If you want to see the auction closer to you at the special booth on the first floor, you need to apply for the permission. The application form site is below. You can see the auction freely through the glass on the second floor too. If you want to visit there, switch along. That's all. Thank you for watching. See you next time.